So, you guys have been wondering where we've been since we haven't been posting quite as often as we used to. And we have told you guys in a community post that we were dealing with a homestead emergency. Now, we didn't specifically tell you what that was, but we think now's the time to tell you guys what's been going on.
We have a chance to breathe now. We're still in the middle of some things, but we're at a place now where we're getting a little more sleep, and we could probably fill you in on what's been going on here for the past 2 weeks. So I don't know if you remember back when we got all that rain a few weeks ago. Remember you saw the tree down? So that's the time frame. This is when all this started happening. So our tree came down, our oven went out, and we had a cow emergency. So we're gonna share with you the cow emergency. It's still going on. It's not an emergency anymore, but it was. So I guess you found our cow. So we have dogs all around us right now. It's part of the homesteading life. So why don't you share? Monday night we went over, did our nighttime routine with the cows. We were all there. Everything was great. Then all that rain happened. Everything got so muddy. And then Tuesday morning, Brooke can tell you what happened.
So me and Joshua went over to milk Buttercup. That's our newest cow, besides Slurpee, which is her baby. And we went over, and she was flat on her side in the mud, and it had looked like she had been struggling for a while, and she had stopped fighting. So we called Mom and Dad over, and everyone came over.
Yeah.
You can continue.
Yeah, so it looked like she probably fell shortly after we had left the night before. She was definitely stuck in the mud for a really long time and was on the verge of death when we got there. I mean, just not even trying to do anything anymore, barely breathing. It was a really scary situation for all of us. We've never dealt with anything like that. So we were able to, get her onto a board, pull her out of the mud, get her to a drier location than where she was. And Brian started calling every vet that he knew in the East Texas area that did like house calls and large animals, and they were all busy. There was not a vet to be found in the area. We talked to a local rancher down the road from us who was super helpful, gave us so much advice about what to do. And so we started implementing some of the things that he had suggested. And then one of the vets that we had called, I guess their vet tech, was able to come out. So she spent some time with us that day as well, just telling us some things. I mean, it was clear from the beginning that Buttercup, if she was going to survive, was going to be blind in that eye that she was in the mud, and it was gone. She completely lost all sight in that eye, and she could not get off of her side. She was flat on her side, which if any of you have cows, you know that is not okay for a cow to lay on their side ever. They should never be laying on their side. It causes nerve damage and
bloat.
Right, and bloat that they could die from very easily. So why don't you share some of the things that the vet tech said that we could be doing?
Well, to start, before we even called a vet, we had gotten her up on her chest and propped up with a board and then cinder blocks behind the board to hold the board up, because she would not sit on her own. And it was important that she sat up, or else she would die from the condition called bloat.
Correct.
So we got her up. She was not drinking or eating. She was very lethargic. She wouldn't even hold her own head up. So after the vet tech came out, she had recommended us giving her a bee injection, washing out her eye, because it was a little bit infected from the mud, but she was still going to be blind, she said, but she wanted us to wash the infection out. And she said that it most likely came from milk fever.
Or magnesium deficiency.
She wasn't sure, but either way it was a deficiency. So she recommended us giving her CMPK, which is a calcium, magnesium.
It's just like a multi-mineral.
Potassium and phosphorus. And it comes in like a tube, and you give it to them orally.
Yeah, and that was not fun to give her.
She didn't like that
at all.
From my understanding, though, it does burn their throat, so from all the minerals, so it was understanding why she didn't want to take it.
Right.
So we were able to do that. We have done bee injections. Yeah. We've been trying to lift her. We tried lifting her by hand for a little, but it wasn't working. Right.
So then we got a tractor, and we were able to lift her with the tractor, and she did nothing. She didn't even try to stand up, and it was a little hopeless. I think that first day we felt a little defeated and beaten down, but we still had this thought that she'll be okay. And so when the vet tech came back, I guess about like 9 o'clock that night,
You had to check on
it
her?
was pretty late. She had checked on her at the end of the day, and we were sort of stunned because Buttercup had started eating by that point. I think the
she was drinking
injections
and eating.
got her to at least want to eat and drink. So we as a family were like, oh wow, she's eating and drinking. This is great news. And
She was holding her head up.
right. And so the vet tech said, I'm sorry to be, the bearer of bad news, but you need to put her down right now. And we were like, what do you mean we have to put her down right now? And she's like, she's not going to make it through the night. It was getting down, I think, in like the 20s at night, right?
Right. When a healthy, regular cow would easily be able to handle degrees that low, she was saying that she wouldn't be able to because her energy was so low.
Right. So we discussed it as a family and we prayed about it. And, her feeling was that she didn't want to see Buttercup suffer. And we completely agree. We don't want to see any animal ever suffer.
Right.
But Buttercup at the time was not suffering. She was eating. She wasn't in pain.
She didn't look to seem to
She
be cold.
wasn't in
She wasn't
distress
shivering.
at all. And she was doing so much better than when we had found her. And it was such a miracle to begin with that she had made it through the night in the mud because it was cold that night too. So we just felt like we should wait. And so...
But we made an agreement to spend the night there with her.
We did. And we agreed that if the first sign of suffering, that we would put Buttercup down no matter how hard that was. And so we did not leave Buttercup's side. We monitored her closely. She made it through the night with flying colors. I mean, I am so grateful that we did not put her down that night because the next morning she was starting to sit up on her own. She was eating. She was drinking. She was lively. She was communicating with her baby. And so we just continued for the next 3 or 4 days, lifting her,
rolling her
every few hours so to keep the blood circulation going, lifting her. And by this time when we would lift her, she'd stand, and she was standing for 20 minutes at a time and laying back down on her own gently, like normally, like a cow.
And Slurpee was able to nurse, which made her very happy.
And Slurpee was able to nurse, so she was a happy little cow. And so we've just saw so much progress. Now, while we weren't spending the whole night with her at this point, we were over there a lot, taking shifts, and especially Brian. I mean, Brian just was very, very diligent about doing the middle of the night shifts with her while we all slept. So we did that for about 4 days, and then we don't have the heavy equipment here, so we had rented it. So it was time to give it back, and we thought, well, we're just going to have to trust,
Yeah.
She's doing well, and she's not in pain. She's not suffering. She's eating. She's drinking. She's
sitting up on her own.
She's completely sitting up on her own by this point. So we gave back the heavy equipment, and since then, she has not gotten up on her own. I'm not sure that she can yet get up on her own. There's probably nerve damage to that one leg that she was on in the mud, which can heal itself. So we are still praying for that. But we have noticed that she's at least wanting to get up now.
Yeah, so for example, we did bring in a new roll of hay yesterday because they ran out, and she was trying to get up. She really wanted to get up and get to this new hay because it excites them. They love new hay.
She does.
And she tried a few times, and she was actually really trying to get up, and then she was just sort of gave up. She was like, yeah, I can't get up. So that was sort of the end of that.
So where we're at now is we're not going to give up hope. As long as we see progress in Buttercup and she continues to move forward, we're going to stick with her through the whole journey. Brian was able to attach something to the shelter so we can lift her and keep that blood flowing multiple times a day. So she's still not getting up on her own, but she is trying. She wants to. And her baby would like her too, because her baby would like to keep nursing. So, in the midst of it all, that's where all of our attention has been, minus, getting the oven, cutting down a tree, living life, doing those things. We got very little sleep the past few weeks. We've eaten every freezer meal that we had made is gone. So it's just been, we all go through these times when life just seems to throw everything at you at once, and it's a test to see how are you going to handle it. And I'm just so proud of our family for making the decision to not put her down. That would have been, and I say easy, it's a dog. I say easy, but I don't mean easy, because certainly it would have been emotionally horrible to lose our dairy cow. But it would have been easy in the fact that we wouldn't have spent the past 2 weeks
caring for her.
We could have moved on with life and dealt with the emotional pain, but we didn't. We chose to do the hard things. And I really believe it's going to pay off. I really believe Buttercup's going to make a full recovery, minus a blind eye, which has been a challenge in itself, her getting used to.
I think it's
where
part of the
things
reason
are.
why she can't get up, because
It's
her
probably.
perception's very off. You can tell when she we have a water bucket near her, and you can tell when she goes to try and drink. A lot of times she misses the bucket.
Yeah.
Also, possibly in a few days, we may do a live stream. So if you guys have questions or anything about what's going on, make sure you guys subscribe and turn on your notifications so you know if we do go live. We're not sure yet if we're going to do that, but we might.
Yeah, it's
So just stay
difficult
tuned.
because sometimes we don't always get the best reception over at the cow pen, and we don't want to do a live stream if it's not going to look great and you can't see anything.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll give you an update in a few days via live stream about Buttercup's condition.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at. We'll give you updates as we go along. We didn't have the time to sit down and explain everything that was going on, but now you know. So when we share posts or things, and we'll keep you updated, then you'll know. Now you'll know what's going on. So we just appreciate y'all joining us. It was so exciting in the midst of all that for Brooke to hit 1,000 subscribers. We were just so excited. It was one more thing we were rejoicing about through the midst of all the pain and stress. So there's always good in the bad. You just have to look for it.
Yeah.
And who knows what comes out of this, but we know it will be good.
Yes.
So thanks for joining us. If you want to stay up to date on what's happening, make sure you like and subscribe, and we will see you soon.